Can you imagine if the single thing quietly holding you back from your greatest breakthrough wasn't your lack of effort, knowledge, or connections, but the subtle, poisonous grip of jealousy? What if that hidden feeling was actually blinding you to the move of God in your own life, shutting the door on opportunities you can't yet see? Today, we're peeling back the curtain on Joseph's remarkable journey, a narrative where envy didn't just stir trouble, but nearly derailed a destiny that would change generations. Through Joseph's eyes, we'll see how jealousy operates under the radar, how it turns friends and family into rivals, and how, more importantly, you can break free and step boldly into your own calling. Stick with me, because by the end, you'll have a practical, faith-filled step to move from resentment to release. And trust me, this one decision could reshape your entire next season. Let's be honest, jealousy is a deeper, more dangerous spiritual threat than we care to admit. It isn't just an uncomfortable feeling we try to ignore. It's a corrosive presence that seeps into our thoughts, quietly chipping away at our peace, our clarity, and our joy. Here's how it works. You see someone else flourishing, their doors opening, their prayers being answered. Maybe a friend gets a promotion, a family member finds favor, or someone in your church steps into a new season. Deep inside, a pang of envy spikes. Why not me? Maybe you try to brush it off, thinking it's just normal. But jealousy is rarely loud. It shapeshifts. Not always angry, but often disguised as subtle discontent, comparison, or even defensiveness. What you might not realize is that over time, this silent blocker changes how you see the world. People who should inspire you start to feel like competitors. Gratitude slips away, replaced by criticism or detachment. Instead of being on the lookout for the unique doors God's opening for you, you find yourself stuck, staring at others' breakthroughs, feeling left behind, and missing the indicators of your own anointed path. We often hear about Joseph's story as a legendary tale, one of dreams, betrayal, and ultimate redemption. But there's more here than just a colorful narrative fit for Sunday school. Joseph wasn't just any dreamer. His dreams were spiritual signals, prophetic blueprints, mapped out by God himself. When Joseph shared his vision with his family, he wasn't boasting or asking for special treatment. He was stepping into his unique, divinely appointed calling. But listen, his brothers didn't see any of that. In their eyes, Joseph's dream wasn't a signpost of God's bigger plan, but an announcement of favoritism, a threat to their place in the family. Their jealousy distorted not only how they saw Joseph, but how they interpreted God's voice. This wasn't innocent sibling rivalry. It was the spiritual power of envy, working overtime to shut down something world-changing before it ever took root. And, as we'll see, their inability to see past their insecurity almost cost them everything. Pause and reflect. When we come face to face with jealousy, what happens? Scripture tells us Joseph's brothers didn't just shrug off his dream and move on. They let resentment fester. They hated him all the more because of his dreams and what he had said. Genesis 37:8. Jealousy is never content to stay a feeling. Left unchecked, it's a spring-loaded trap that clouds your judgment and rewires your decisions. It builds stories in your mind where you're the victim and others are the threat. The brothers plotted against Joseph. Their resentment amplified every offense, every perceived slight. In their minds, getting rid of Joseph meant restoring balance, protecting themselves. But here's the twist. Their actions weren't just about Joseph. They were fighting against the advance of God's purpose. When jealousy gets into your heart, you take aim at people, but you actually end up pushing back against the divine plans for both your life and theirs. You become blinded, not just to reality, but to grace, provision, and possibility. What's the true cost of letting envy go unchallenged? It's simple. Envy robs you of your ability to see and celebrate what God is already doing for you. When you focus on others' wins, you lose sight of your own blessings. Your gifts, your answered prayers, even your relationships start to feel dim or insignificant by comparison. Joseph's brothers couldn't see beyond their lack. They had family, security, and blessing, but all of it faded into the background as they obsessed over Joseph's dream. This is envy's greatest crime. It rewires your attention to always search for absence instead of abundance. You start counting what you don't have, and gratitude withers on the vine. If left unchecked, jealousy can cost you relationships, peace of mind, and your awareness of God's presence in your own life. You may find yourself measuring success by someone else's story, constantly competing but never feeling enough. It's like walking through a banquet hall with your eyes fixed on a crumb in someone else's hand, missing the feast laid out for you. Let's confront a powerful truth. Jealousy almost always flows from a misunderstood, uncertain, or forgotten sense of calling. When you see someone experience a breakthrough, your insecurity whispers that you're losing out. Envy grabs hold when you believe there's not enough blessing to go around, as if God's plans are limited to just a few favored people. Joseph's dream was never given to put down his brothers. In fact, God's plan was to bless all of them through Joseph's unique journey. But because they misunderstood the purpose, because they filtered his dream through their insecurity, they took the whole story personally. They missed the fact that every calling is unique. God never repeats himself. Your assignment is yours alone. When you don't know your own calling, you start assuming that someone else's favor is a judgment against you, rather than a sign that God's on the move for all. The key: don't let comparison become your compass. Rediscover what makes your path unique. Celebrate how God works differently in others. You're not left out. You're prepared for something singularly yours. Envy's ripple effect, hurting more than yourself. One of the most overlooked realities about jealousy is that it never stays contained. It's like a stone tossed into still water. The waves radiate outward, impacting everyone in the vicinity. The jealousy that festered within Joseph's brothers didn't simply change their relationship with him. It poisoned family dynamics, broke trust, and set in motion a generational pattern of strife and sorrow. They thought sending Joseph away would eliminate the problem, but it backfired. Their actions sent Joseph into a journey of suffering, but it also brought about year after year of grief within their family. Their father was heartbroken. Their own seasons of harvest and joy were shadowed by guilt and secrecy. And in the end, they not only blocked Joseph's breakthrough momentarily, but delayed their entire family's deliverance from famine. Let this land. When you act from envy, you don't just forfeit your own progress. You can obstruct the flow of blessing meant to touch many. Envy creates pain and delay, weaving consequences into the stories of everyone close to you. That's why letting go of jealousy isn't just self-help. It's an act of generational healing. But here's the hope. The cycle of jealousy and its consequences can end with you. Joseph's life didn't unravel because his brothers envied him. In fact, God used even their betrayal to move Joseph closer to his destiny. The difference? Joseph refused to let bitterness harden his heart. He suffered rejection, was sold into slavery, and thrown into prison, but he kept reaching for God. He chose release. Even in impossible circumstances, Joseph kept his heart open. He looked for what God was doing in the moment. He chose to interpret dreams for others, even when his own dreams seemed out of reach. He could have rehearsed the betrayal, nurtured his resentment, or planned his revenge. Instead, he made the crucial choice to forgive, to release the past, and to believe that no act of envy was greater than God's purpose. Here's the breakthrough. The chains of jealousy break the moment you choose release over resentment. This isn't just an emotional shift. It's a spiritual act of war. Every time you refuse to let envy become your narrative, you're writing a new chapter for your family, your workplace, your community. You break the cycle that says only a few can be blessed, and you invite greater freedom for all. Practical step: the one decision. Let's translate this into something actionable. What can you do right now to start breaking envy's hold? Here's the one decision. Choose to bless where you've been tempted to resent. Real freedom comes the moment you stop rehearsing the story that someone else's gain means your loss. Instead, take a bold step of faith and speak blessing over the very person you've been tempted to envy. Out loud. Maybe you've compared your ministry, your job, your family, or just your social life. Maybe you've told yourself that their influence or recognition is unfair. Shift the narrative, even if your emotions don't line up yet. Pray this: God, thank you for what you're doing in their life. Thank you that you have a purpose for me that's just as real, just as anointed, just as needed. I refuse to measure myself against someone you've called differently. I trust your process. I bless them, and I receive freedom for my own journey. The truth is, this is never easy. It flies in the face of human instinct. But every time you choose it, you snap one more link in the chain. You open the door for greater gratitude, for peace, and for the next season of breakthrough in your own life. This is the narrow gate, but those who walk it will always find new freedom. How to spot spiritual jealousy before it grows. Anything in the spiritual life that goes unnamed holds power over you. The enemy loves to keep jealousy subtle, just a low hum in the background, dismissed as normal insecurity or ambition. But if you can catch it early, you can root it out before it takes over. How can you tell if jealousy is creeping into your spirit? Notice these warning signs. You find it hard to genuinely celebrate others' breakthroughs, even small ones. You replay moments of their success in your mind, but there's a sting or resentment instead of joy. You start downplaying your own dreams or begin to see your gifts as less valuable. The temptation to gossip or subtly undermine someone else's reputation grows. The remedy is radical honesty. When you spot these patterns, don't push them down. Bring them to God in prayer. Name them out loud and invite Him to shift your focus to gratitude. Celebrate where you are and bless those around you. The sooner you catch jealousy at its seed, the easier it is to uproot before it grows into a tangled mess. Comparison is the thief of joy, confidence, clarity, and calling. God's plan for you can't be diminished or threatened by anyone else's progress. But the gravitational pull of comparison is strong. When we're surrounded by others' highlight reels, online, at church, even in our friendships, the temptation is to evaluate our worth, assignment, or timing by someone else's story. Scripture gives us a radically different measurement. Each one should test their own actions. Then they can take pride in themselves alone, without comparing themselves to someone else. Galatians 6:4. Your calling is never in competition with another's. True breakthrough, peace, and purpose arrive when you look away from comparison and back to Christ, asking Him, "What have you specifically prepared for me?" If you've been struggling with envy, shift your vision today. Celebrate others loudly and mean it. Ask God to restore your awe for the unique assignment He's entrusted to you. Your miracle doesn't shrink just because someone else receives theirs. In fact, collective blessing multiplies the atmosphere of breakthrough around you. Here's the beautiful reversal of Joseph's story. When envy is confronted, when cycles are broken, restoration is possible at levels we can't imagine. Joseph endured years of suffering, rejection, and delay because of his brother's jealousy. But his decision to forgive, to welcome the very ones who hurt him, turned the whole tide. When famine hit the land, Joseph's family was starving and desperate. They came to Egypt for help, unaware that the brother they had betrayed was now in a position to save them. Instead of revenge, Joseph wept with compassion, embraced his family, and provided for their needs. He declared, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Joseph's breakthrough wasn't just for him. When he overcame envy, both his own temptations and those against him, he unlocked healing for generations. He redeemed not just a family, but an entire nation. Your decision to release jealousy and embrace gratitude could ripple out to redeem relationships, restore joy, or even shift the destiny of those watching your example. It's far bigger than you know. Declare with me today, as you step into a new season, I refuse to let envy or comparison govern my vision. I declare that my calling is unique, unrepeatable, and anointed by God. Others' success doesn't diminish my own. Every blessing I see is a reminder that God is still at work, still writing breakthrough stories, including my own. I release resentment, I embrace gratitude, and I trust God to write the next chapter of my story in His perfect timing. I am stepping boldly into my anointed path. No looking back. Read this aloud. Write it down. Reflect on it when old comparisons try to resurface. Let this truth reframe your vision so you move forward free from the lingering grip of jealousy. Epic motivational scene. A radiant path stretching into the horizon, lined with luminous scriptural motifs. The viewer's silhouette steps boldly forward, surrounded by a glow of affirmation. Let's put this into practice. Set aside a quiet moment this week and invite God to gently search your heart. Ask honestly, where is jealousy hooking my heart right now?
Who do I struggle to truly celebrate?
What blessings or opportunities in my life have I been downplaying because my focus was on someone else's success? Don't rush past this inventory. When you name the trap, it starts to lose its power. Write down the names, situations, or emotions that God brings to mind. Then take one simple step of blessing towards someone you've envied. It could be a note of encouragement, a small gift, or a public celebration of their win. Bring this list to God in honest prayer. Ask Him to replace competitiveness with compassion, comparison with contentment. Watch as gratitude and peace begin to grow in the spaces where jealousy once lived. This isn't just individual work. This is how cycles are broken and new seasons are birthed. This isn't just individual work. This is how cycles are broken and new seasons are birthed. Has this message helped you recognize the hidden trap of jealousy and shown you a new way forward? Don't keep this breakthrough to yourself. Share it with someone who may be wrestling with envy, struggling to celebrate others, or waiting for their own open door. Subscribe now and join our community as we pursue revelation for your next anointed season, tackling big questions with scriptural wisdom and real-life application. And before you go, I want to hear from you. In what area of your life are you most ready to release envy and step into gratitude today? Drop your answer in the comments below. It might just be the spark that inspires someone else's breakthrough too. Together, let's keep walking into freedom, one spiritual insight at a time. Subscribe for more videos as we pursue revelation together, learning how to break spiritual traps and walk freely into your calling. And remember, releasing jealousy isn't an event, but a journey, one best traveled together. Stay with us for more insights that can transform your next season. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the unseen traps of envy and how Joseph's story can illuminate your own path to freedom. Has this message helped you recognize the hidden trap of jealousy and shown you a new way forward? Don't keep this breakthrough to yourself. Share it with someone who may be wrestling with envy, struggling to celebrate others, or waiting for their own open door. Subscribe now and join our community as we pursue revelation for your next anointed season, tackling big questions with scriptural wisdom and real-life application. And before you go, I want to hear from you. In what area of your life are you most ready to release envy and step into gratitude today? Drop your answer in the comments below. It might just be the spark that inspires someone else's breakthrough too. Together, let's keep walking into freedom, one spiritual insight at a time. Subscribe for more videos as we pursue revelation together, learning how to break spiritual tracks and walk freely into your calling. And remember, releasing jealousy isn't an event, but a journey, one best traveled together. Stay with us for more insights that can transform your next season.